In this project, we're going to create this floor plan design. I'm going to start a new drawing, and I'm going to use a wizard. Choose Quick Setup and say OK. We're going to choose Architectural as our unit type, and for our drawing area we're going to put 60 feet, and I have to use the hyphen as a foot symbol, by 40 feet. Next, I'm going to set the grid and snap. I'll go down on top of my grid button. In the status bar, right click, go to Settings, and I'm going to set my snap spacing to 6 inches and my grid spacing to 6 inches. We'll turn on both the snap and the grid, and we're going to turn off the grid's adaptive behavior, and I'll say OK. Down on the status bar, I'm going to make sure that grid and snap and ortho are turned on, as well as dynamic input. And then in my utilities, I'm going to choose Zoom Extents to zoom to my drawing limits. To draw the walls, I'm going to be using multi-lines. From my menu browser, I'm going to choose Format, Multi-line Style. We're going to start a new style, which we will call Walls, and I'll say Continue. For the description, we'll put 5-inch walls with line end caps. We're going to have caps at the start and at the end. We need to have an offset. I'm going to add a positive 2.5 offset, and I'm going to add a negative 2.5 offset, and then say OK. I'm going to make sure that my walls style is set current. I can see a preview of what it looks like with my end caps, and I'll say OK. I'm going to start my multi-line command, and from the Draw menu browser, I'll choose multi-line. Down here on the command line, I can see that my style is set to walls. So I'm going to choose the starting spot down near the bottom in the center. And for my first wall here, I'm going to use a relative amount. I'm going to say at, and I want to move to the left, so it's going to be negative 11 feet, and I have to put in the foot symbol, 6 inches, comma, 0 on the Y, and I'll hit enter. Now I can also use direct distance entry with ortho turned on, so I'm pushing straight lines. I can just enter the distance, 25 feet, 6 inches, and across the back it's going to be 30 feet. Coming up this side is 30 feet. Coming across the front, it's going to be 14 feet, 9 inches. Coming back this way is 11 feet. And this stub wall is 1 foot, 1 inch. And I'll end there. I'm going to right click on my quick access tools and choose Toolbars, AutoCAD, and I'm going to set my Object Snap toolbar open to assist in drawing my walls. I'm then going to start from the menu browser, Draw and Multi-Lines. I'm going to right click, choose the justification, and set it to bottom. And with a midpoint, I'm going to start from the outside wall midpoint, and I'm going to pull a line this way 10 feet and up at 1 foot, 1 inch. and I'll end it there. I'm going to get a line and zoom in, and I'm going to make a space for the door. I'm going to turn on my object snaps so I can snap to this endpoint, and this is going to be 2 feet 8 inches. And then my wall coming across here, I'm going to start my multi-line again. This time I'm going to right click and set the justification to top, and I use a snap from off of my toolbar. This outside edge, I'm going to say relative 10 feet, comma 0, and this line should snap to the end of the line that represents the door, and I'll hit enter. Now I can see that I have multi-lines that overlap each other. So one of the ways that I can deal with that is I'll go to my menu browser, to my modify, to object, expand that, and say multi-line. In here I have an open T, so I'm going to zoom in, and I want to trim. I'll take my horizontal line and then trim to the inside, and down at this end I'll take my vertical line and trim that to the inside, and I can take those overlapping lines out. So with using these same multi-line tools, we're going to create and edit the rest of the interior walls for our floor plan. Many times architectural drawings are organized by their layers according to the function of what's on each of the layers. We're going to go to our layer property manager, and we're going to create a new layer which we'll call bathroom. And we can see the properties that are controlled by the layers. Color, we're going to choose cyan. The line type will be continuous, and the line weight will be default. I'm going to make the bathroom the current layer and close the property manager. Looking on my layers tool panel, I can see that the bathroom is now currently active. So we're going to place the tub by using a rectangle, and I'm going to zoom in and start by snapping to this corner. Right click, and I'm going to give dimensions. The length of the rectangle, which would be the distance on the X, is going to be 2 feet 6, and the width is going to be 5 foot 10, and I need to snap or click my mouse to place it in that location. For the interior of my tub, I'm going to choose rectangle again. I'm going to right click and choose fillet, and for the fillet radius we'll put in 3. And to specify my first point, I'm going to choose snap from, and snap from this corner point, and here I'm going to say it's going to be relative, so at 3 on the X, comma 3 on the Y, and we'll start our rectangle here. I'm going to right click and say dimensions, and my dimensions are going to be 2 foot on the X, and it's going to be 4 foot 7 on the Y, and then I'll click my mouse once to place that. To place the toilet back and the sink, I'm going to leave my rectangle with a 3-inch fillet, and I'm going to start my rectangle command again. This time I'm going to choose temporary tracking point. I'm going to snap to this corner, and you can see my tracking point. I'm going to move to the right 9 inches, enter 9 from the keyboard, and that starts my rectangle. I'm going to right click and say dimensions, and in this case it's going to be 20 on the X and 10 on the Y. And I will move into the bathroom with my cursor and click to place that rectangle. I'm going to get another rectangle that will represent the sink. Again, we're going to use a temporary tracking point from this corner, and you can see my tracking line. I'm going to enter 2 feet 10 inches. That starts my rectangle. I'll right click, say dimensions, and this one's going to be 30 inches on the X and 20 on the Y. And again, I'll place my cursor inside the bathroom and click to place that. Now these have rounded corners all the way around, and I need to have 0 corners on those edges. So I'm going to get a fillet command, zoom in, and I'm going to hold the shift button down and click on those 2 corners, and I have to bring it back. I have a number of these to do, so I'm going to say M for multiple, and then continue to hold the shift button down, click on these 2 lines to straighten that out. I'm going to click on these 2 lines, and I will pan over, and holding down the shift, take care of those. Then I need to add an ellipse for my toilet. On my draw tool panel, I'm going to choose ellipse axis end, and I'll use a midpoint snap to the center of this toilet tank, and then I'm going to turn ortho on so that I can have a straight line coming out, and this axis is 20 inches. Then I'm going to turn my axis going horizontally, and this is 7.5 direct distance, and I've created the ellipse for my toilet. You can see how the bathroom is on a different layer than the walls. If we look at our layers that we have the 0 layer and the bathroom. Over here we have the ability to turn on or off a layer or to freeze a layer. If I turn a layer off like the 0 layer and click, you notice that the visibility is turned off. I can turn it back on. If I freeze a layer, I also lose visibility. The difference between turning on and off and freezing, if I turn it off, then all of the entities on that layer are still considered part of the drawing and are redrawn even though I can't see them every time I zoom in and out. If I freeze a layer, then it's excluded from the database and it's not redrawn as I zoom in and out. So if you have a very large drawing, it's preferable to freeze layers, and it doesn't bog down your computer with having to regenerate all of that information. We're going to add an additional layer, so I'm going to go to my Layer Property Manager and choose a new layer. We're going to call this Walls, and we're going to change the color to green. And we're going to set that as our current layer. And we're going to move the walls to this new layer. I don't want to move the bathroom to a new layer, so I'm going to freeze the bathroom layer, which turns it off, and then I'm going to draw a window around all the walls, which selects them, and then choose the wall layer. And you notice how the color is changed, which indicates to me that all of these entities have been changed to the wall layer. Now I can go back and unfreeze the bathroom so that that shows up. Lastly, you can go back in and create the windows and place those, and you will have finished your floor plan design.